Welcome to Conestoga Conversations Indigenous Edition. In this series, every conversation with student recruiters will be exploring the programs, pathways, and clusters at Conestoga College. From a one-year college certificate to a four-year honors degree, Conestoga has multiple ways to help you reach your goals. In today's conversation, we're going to be talking about the mechanical cluster at our Cambridge campus.
Some of you may be wondering, what does a student recruiter do? We are specialists in helping future or prospective students by providing reliable information about programs and services, answering any Conestoga-related questions on a one-to-one basis and within group settings, leading you on virtual tours, and once we're back to normal, touring through our 8 campus locations. Conestoga student recruiters work with Indigenous students, students interested in degrees, trades and apprenticeships, and the general population.
My name is Roxane Shawana, Indigenous recruiter at Conestoga College. I'm from Okomakong, unceded territory on beautiful Manitoulin Island.
And my name is Elisha Rivard, and I work with the general population, and I have a background in career development. We have John Tielmans, Coordinator of Robotics and Automation, joining us today. John, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, sure. My name is John. I am the coordinator for Robotics and Automation, but I'm familiar with all the programs. So anyone has questions, they can come see me. I've been with the college for 23 years, so I know a lot of things that happen here. And I came from the nuclear industry, laser research, high-speed data acquisition. So science and technology has been my passion, and I get to continue spreading that technology and the passion of it to students that come to the college looking for an amazing career in robotics. So happy to help.
Thanks for joining us. And we will be talking today, as you know, with the mechanical engineering clustered programs at our Cambridge campus.
There's different types of programs at Conestoga in our School of Engineering and Technology. Just a quick note, the Technology Foundation program assists with academic upgrading, such as your math requirements for other programs. It helps with career deliberation or your program choices, and then assists you with the transition to college life and workload. The program will enable students to gain admission requirements to enter into the third-year engineering technology programs. Conestoga has programs from 1 to 4 years in length. Programs in our mechanical cluster include a one-year college certificate, such as our Technology Foundations, 2-year diploma program, like our automated manufacturing, in the mechanical engineering technology cluster, a 3-year advanced diploma, again in the mechanical engineering technology cluster, or the MET. And a lot of our 3-year diplomas have optional co-ops. In this cluster, the Robotics and Automation, Design and Analysis, and Automated Manufacturing are 3-year programs. And then we have the 4 years honors degree programs with mandatory co-ops. And this would be our Bachelor of Engineering with, our Mechanical Systems Engineering and our Building Systems Engineering programs. So John is here with us because he is the expert and going to work through what the MET cluster looks like, and then we'll dig into the degrees.
So in the mechanical cluster, we have, if we include the Technology Foundations, 4 distinct areas. Technology Foundations is really geared towards people who are unsure of what they're going to be doing. It gives them a year to sample the college programs and see what they want, and the options are to branch out into mechanical or civil from there, but it gives you a year in the college with settings, and it provides some courses that you can use towards those diplomas. So we have in the main mechanical cluster 3 major programs. Automated is counted as 2 because there's a 2-year technician and a 3-year technology program, but we typically talk about them in 3 groups. There's the design and analysis, automated manufacturing, and then robotics and automation. And I will apologize right now if I tend to show any bias towards robotics and automation, because I am the coordinator for that program. And even though I may say I consider it's the best one, that may not be the case for everybody, but it is the best. We have the coolest toys. No, all 3 programs are phenomenal, and I can say this for all our programs. I've been here 23 years, and I've never seen a graduate employment rate below 90%, no matter how bad the economy has turned, because these fields that you see before you are all in desperate need of people all the time. Because if you look around you, anything from your cell phone to a game console to the refrigerator door handle, anything around you has to be designed if it's going to be made. So who does the designing? Design and analysis. You need people like that to design a product, and that's what they do. When the technologists come out of this program, they're capable of doing all the design. And when you look at their third-year project, you see how intense the program is and why this program is so successful. They end up with sometimes 2 3-inch binders full of drawings, calculations, stress and strain analysis, because they're the ones that decide what this is going to look like and how it's going to be built. One of the examples I like using is a mountain bike. If you need a mountain bike, someone has to design it. So that's what they'll do. And they'll have questions like, what's the temperature range it's going to be used over? How heavy a load is it going to take? How heavy does it have to be? Are they going to be doing any jumping? Is there any cornering? What are the stresses and strains going to be? They want to make it as light as possible so that they can do their mountain biking, but still strong enough to hold the person. So they'll do all the calculations. So by definition, then this program is fairly heavy on the math, calculus, thermodynamics. And you can think of these people as spending a fair amount of their time in front of a computer doing design work. When they're finished with the design, they're going to hand it off to someone in automated manufacturing. And now they're concerned with, how are we going to make this thing? What's the process going to look like? What type of fixturing do we have to hold it in place while things are being done? What's the workflow going to look like? And that's their focus. It's the process of how we're going to make these things. What's the factory going to look like? In fact, their third-year project is, again, a couple of 3-inch binders that show everything from the fixturing needed, the programming used on some of the CNC, which are automated machine milling machines, that type of thing. What the factory layout's going to look like, the workflow, even basically how much parking. It's not an architecture program, but they have an idea. They need to know how many washrooms, parking, because they need to see what the factory floor is going to look like. Work comes in one place, goes through all these workstations, parts come in other doors, and they come out this way, so they can design the workflow. So they're concerned with the process of doing the actual manufacturing. When that's all done, that's when the robotics and automation people come over, because there are tasks that are either too repetitive, too dangerous, or too heavy for humans to handle. And the robotics and automation people actually look at, how do we automate some of these processes? So they're the ones that get to sit at the computer and design the system, program it, and then spend time actually putting it together. So we have grads doing all 3. And we're going to mention my channel that I have on YouTube for some of the projects. If you want to see what my projects are for robotics and automation, there is design work involved, and we do have some design blinders, but they actually build a fully automated manufacturing work cell. And some of the samples you'll see on the YouTube channel. You've got to remember, when you watch those, my students have done everything from start to finish. The concept, the design, the build, the wiring, the programming, and then running it and acquiring all the materials. So this is a program that has a very substantial build portion at the end, and we always have an open house in August. So look on the college website mid-August. You'll find notice to the online open house this year as to what we're going to be presenting. And yeah, they get to play with some really cool toys. All 3 programs have excellent graduate employment rates. Like I said, 90% or greater. This year, I'm hearing numbers like $60,000 to $65,000 per year on leaving a 3-year college diploma program. So I have to say that the salaries are quite good, and it is salary, not hourly. You're actually on salary. And for a few of these careers, I know definitely for robotics and automation, if you like traveling around the world, that's a great option. The DNA students do a fair amount of traveling too. I will call it a complaint. One of the things that I've noticed about our programs is we have a very, very low representation by Indigenous and female students. And the ones that we get through the program tend to do quite well. I know a couple of Indigenous. One has actually gone on to the degree program. Another one I know is a manager of an automation at a large company. He's been out for about 4 or 5 years, and he's already been in a manager's position with his diploma. My grads, DNA grads, automated grads, they all do quite well when they graduate. What else do I have to cover here? I covered the capstones. Oh yeah, one thing I like to say about robotics, like I say, everybody needs things to be designed. So all 3 fields have secure futures. You have to go for what you like. The nice thing about our programs are we have a common first year. So at the end of first year, if you signed up for design and analysis and you think, you know what, I'd rather be in robotics and automation, we can switch you over. That's no problem. It's designed that way. There's nothing extra needed. You'll have all the courses you need. So all 3 programs have the exact same first year. Maybe not in the same order, but you'll be finished at the end. And that's even an overflow. Robotics always fills. We put people into one of the other programs, then at the end of first year, they transfer into robotics, which is what they wanted. So that's a definite advantage to looking at our programs, because you have that flexibility of picking which direction you want to go. After first year, the programs tend to diverge and there's not as much overlap anymore. So, but first year, all the same for you.
Can I just add something in there, John?
Sure.
Is if you're a high school student or a mature learner who's applying to Conestoga then, and you're putting in your Ontario college's application, if you're looking at trying to get into one of these programs and you're not really sure exactly where you want to be, with a common first year, it means that it's easily to transfer into another program. Okay, so making sure that, you know what, don't count yourself out for any of the programs when you're hearing something. With the common first year, it's going to give you the ability to kind of narrow down where you want to be afterwards.
That's right. And for these programs, the high school requirements are strictly really math and English. And you talk to recruiters about which ones, but if you have the math and English, that's all you need, because we teach you everything else you need. Some people come into robotics saying, I don't know much about programming. That's fine. We teach you all about that. Or I like math, but I don't have very in-depth math. Design analysis gives you all the training in the math and the design that you need. So we assume, you know, math from high school and English from high school. The rest, we teach you from the ground up. Now, if you have some experience in electrical or some physics and some programming, that'll help you, but it's not a requirement. And if you're looking for something else to look at quickly, go onto the web, look up tutorials for programming, VBA, Visual Basic Programming, or some basic physics, and that'll just sort of give you a bit of a leg up when you get to these programs, just to keep going. So yeah, the math and English are all you really need. And I think that's everything for this. Oh yeah, one other thing. People say, why choose Conestoga? I have talked with many employers, and most of them say pretty much the same thing. If they hire our students regularly, they get to know them well enough that they say, when we hire from Conestoga, we put them to work immediately. If we hire from another college, we have to train them for 3 or 4 months before we can actually put them out in the field and get the real work done. So the employers, especially locally, prefer the Conestoga grads. And our degree program that accepts bridging students from college level diploma programs has also said that the Conestoga College diploma grads are better suited and more successful to the 4-year degree programs when they transfer over. So we set you up really well, and the proof is in what the employers and the degree programs say. Very strong programs. In fact, it's the strength of these programs that allowed the college to apply for degrees, and that opened the door to all the other ones that are coming in. It's the Robotics Automation program was the first one that was co-op in Canada, the first college program to be co-op in Canada. And we've been building it from then on, and local industry loves us. So yeah, it's a really good career. And you get to play with cool toys. Like, really? Sorry, I'm preferring robotics again, but again.
That's okay. You're going to be able to talk a little bit about the cool toys that you get to play with. We did put in a, I think Elisha put in the Robotics Lab when we're going to talk about facilities. Awesome. Because we also know that we have a lot of support from our community. So we get a lot of donations, and you can talk a little bit about that when we talk about that.
Perfect.
So, John, can we move forward with just
Please.
briefly describing these three? Okay.
Yep. So with the automated manufacturing, with this program, it has a broad-based curriculum which includes learning and applying numerical control programming concepts, fixed design, and utilizing CAM and CAD techniques to integrate design and manufacturing.
So pretty much what we're putting on these slides here is taking note of the admission requirements and some of the experience that you'll actually get. We're going to go through all 3 programs. In the design and analysis program, the students are emphasizing mechanical design using standard procedures, computer graphics, and computer-based analysis. This program does have 3 optional co-op work terms.
Do you like to travel? Would you like to have your hotel, food, and travel paid for? The Mechanical Engineering, Technology, Robotics, and Automation Advanced Diploma Program has the opportunities for you to travel the world. And there's also a lot of co-op and projects, capstones that you will be doing in this program to really give you the hands-on component to make you successful, whether you're staying locally or traveling the world.
And it's your choice. Can I add one more thing on that on the Robotics Automation program? I did have one of my very successful graduates interviewed for a video interview of some sort. This was a few years ago, and they asked him, so why did you choose robotics and automation as a career? And his response was, I didn't think there would be fewer robots in the future. And now,
Yeah.
now with COVID, it's really being stressed because more and more companies are wanting to go with automation because they say they can't rely on the human workforce because of possible illness. And before you say, but this is going to put people out of work, there's a study that came out in November that shows that companies that added robots had to increase their employees by 15%. They actually added staff because the company becomes so successful. So robotics actually creates more employment. And that's really counterintuitive to a lot of people. But when you think about it, if the company's doing better, they need more people to support the company. And yeah, and the robots too, of course.
Yeah, of course, the robots. So now we're going to move more into our discussion about the degrees that we have at Conestoga. We have 2 degrees in this cluster, the Building Systems Engineering and Mechanical Systems Engineering. We do have a pathway chart here that John's going to address. You're going to address and talk a little bit about the degrees, and then we'll talk about facilities next after that.
That's right. Yeah, we have mainly the 2 programs that you see here, the Design and Analysis and Robotics Automation can bridge in. The Mechanical Systems Engineering program is a 4-year degree program that is recognized by PEO, Professional Engineers of Ontario. So when you graduate from that program, you are as eligible to be a professional engineer as you are from Waterloo or Queens. It's the exact same status you have. There's still a few years work experience needed to become a fully licensed engineer, but when you graduate, before you leave the college, they give you the iron ring for the engineer. So you are actually classified as an engineer. The formality is you need to work for a few years. But other than that, there's nothing else you really need to. There might be 1 or 2 more exams, but that's not my field. But basically, you're in the same position as University of Waterloo or Queen's University, which have grads that just come out and they say, I'm an engineer. So if you come out of our program, it's the same. It is a mechanical systems engineering program, not an automation engineering. So the degree program is more suited towards having the DNA grads go in because it's sort of an extension of that program. So when you bridge into the degree program, if you graduate from DNA, your average has to be high enough. You need good grades all the way through. You bridge in, you go into year 3 of the degree program. So you do 2 more years of schooling and you come out with both a diploma and a degree. I keep trying to get them to change the wording because some of our posters say turn your diploma into a degree when it should be add a degree to your diploma. So you come up with both, you don't have to turn one back. So there's a bit of wording that goes on that kind of bothers me, but oh well. I don't worry about it too much because the students are successful and that's what counts. Robotics and automation students, they can graduate after 3 years and go into the degree program, but they end up in year 2 because we don't have all the design courses. So you have to make up a couple more courses to match up with the design side because mechanical systems engineer is more of a mechanical designer than automation. They touch on automation and there's a fit. So if you want the degree program, you have both options. You can start in design and analysis with the skill set of a designer and then expand them to an engineering designer, or you can start with robotics and get some design and then expand it to have more full design. So you end up with a broader skill set. So the advantage of design and analysis is it's an easier bridge. The advantage of robotics and automation is you have a much broader skill set when you get out, which makes you much more employable because you do much more with the hands-on. When you look at my videos and the projects that they work on, you'll see the extent of the hands-on, and that's the strength of robotics and automation. You come up with a much broader, strong skill set for the employers. There is some talk of having the automated manufacturing students bridge in. It's not as well suited to do bridging, but it might be possible. If you're thinking about bridging to degree, however, I'd recommend either design and analysis or robotics automation. They are more rigorous programs and they set you up better for success in the mechanical systems engineering program. And yeah, that's really it. And if you have any questions as to why you want to choose that, get in touch with me later. I don't have enough time to go into all the details because I know some of the people that know me say I talk too much. I'm just so proud of my students. They do so well. I can't shut up.
You are a proud teacher. I know that. So what I will say on this note here, John, is that you had mentioned that, some of the programs are better suited to going into the degrees. Keeping in mind any potential students, prospective students looking at this, as we talked about earlier, that first year is a common first year. You have the ability to move around. If you're in your first year and you think, you know what, I can do this. I know I can do this. And I think I want to go get my degree. At that time, you can make those transitions and making sure that you're in the proper stream. That's going to be a good fit for you.
Yeah, and I've had people enter the robotics or the design analysis program saying, when I graduate, I want to bridge into the degree program because that's what I really want to do. Then by the end of their 3 years, they say, I'm looking at what I'm doing here. I love this. I don't think I need a degree. So they just pass. And after the 3-year college, which is lower tuition, by the way, the degree program has higher tuition levels. If you want it, it's there. Go for it. It's a phenomenal option. But I have a lot of people that change their mind because they see what they can do as a technologist. And then others who've come in saying, I don't think I want a degree. And by the end, they say, you know what, I want to go for the degree. So yeah, it's totally up to you. You choose your career. And that's the nice thing about all of our fields. You choose your own. We mentioned there's a lot of travel, but that's not mandatory. You choose the company that says, we're going to send you around the world. Yay. Or if you don't want that, choose a company that's going to keep you local. Those options are all there. It's completely flexible for you. You choose. One thing I'm going to say, can I just spend a couple of minutes on how to, yeah, I should do this. Wherever you go, treat it like a 3 or 4 year job interview. Okay. Whatever you're going to do in your career, treat the schooling like a job interview. And how do I say it? Why do I say it's a job interview? People say, well, you watch us and you make recommendations. Yeah, that's true. But I've had students who've had an amazing job. You know, they found a fantastic job. I had one get a job with slightly low salary, $50,000 a year. I said, that's low salary. The person calling me for reference said, yeah, but if we keep them in a year, we double their salary. Ooh, they kept them. Not only did they keep them, 3 months in, they said, wow, we really like your skill set. Who else in your class should we hire? So my question to you as a prospective student is, where do you want to be on that list? You want to be at the top of that student's list. If you don't get that plum job, that prime job that someone has been offered, that they need more people, what you do is make sure you're on the top of their list. Now, how do you get to the top of that list? Well, some people say marks. That's not the final answer. Your marks need to be good, but top mark students, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not a good fit with others. What you need to be is reliable, cheerful, get your work done. Show up for class, do it on time, and don't complain. If you have a classmate that's always saying, oh, this is making us do this work, this is soft, this sucks, are you going to recommend that person to be a coworker for you? No. So be reliable, do good work. You don't need top marks, but if you're looked on by your classmate says, that's a solid person, he or she, you do well to pick them up because they're always there. They don't shirk, they don't complain. So make sure your grades are as good as possible, but make sure you're reliable. That's the big thing.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Just keep remembering, everybody around you is going to be looking in the field. You're competing with them, and they could refer you. And what you do at school follows you. I've heard stories of people. I had one student last year say, a resume came across my desk, and the boss said, what do you think? He says, I went to school with this guy. Don't even call him back, because he was such a slacker in class. So yeah, your reputation follows you around.
Yeah.
So he never even got an interview, and he doesn't know why. It happens.
Oh.
MSE.
Thanks, John. That's worth mentioning. John did just talk about the MSE program. We're going to let you talk about the building systems engineering after that. I just want to highlight right now that there is 2 co-op work terms in this program with 420 hours each. There are projects in every single year. So often we talk about capstone projects. There is a capstone project here, but every year they have major projects where they are ending up with those big notebooks that John's talking about. And now we have our building systems engineering.
Yeah, it's a little bit different from the other one. The MSE program is all about designing mechanical systems, while the building systems engineering is more on running a building, because energy consumption, energy efficiency, air quality, facilities management, all these things are becoming much more important to make a building, whether it's a college or an office building, whatever, it could even be warehousing. All these things are becoming much, much more complex, and they're finding they need people with a wide variety of skills and automation skills. So this program is designed for people who are interested in managing a building, facilities management, utility management, energy consumption, energy management, operations, day-to-day operations, and maintenance scheduling. So it's a whole raft of things for running a building. You end up becoming a building manager. It's a fascinating field. We're going to look at expanding this further, and we'll see about what kind of bridging is available, but that's not there at this point. We don't have a program that fits this, but I know there are other colleges that might. This, you can come straight from school, go into this and become a building systems engineer. And this as well will be, well, it's in the process. The program hasn't started yet, so I can't say it is. But when it starts in September, it will be another PEng, PEO certified or accredited degree. So when you graduate from this, you will have your PEng. You will be a certified professional engineer.
Nice. This program does have 12 months of paid co-op opportunities. That's huge. There's only a few programs where they group them all together like that, and this is one of them where you have your opportunity to go into 12 months.
Yeah, I think that's because when you work in a building management, you have so many things to learn. If you're in a short work term, you basically just get your feet wet before you have to leave and come back to school. So they want to make sure you get exposed to all the aspects of operating a building in a co-op. I think that's why they do that.
Makes sense, yeah. And now we have one of your labs.
This is the PLC Lab, the Programmable Logic Controllers Lab. You can actually go in and do a virtual tour from our website, take a look at these labs, the Robotics Lab, the PLC Lab, and Zoom, turn around. We have 16 workstations in this lab. And there are two brands of PLC. PLC stands for Programmable Logic Controller. These are the computers that run factories, and we teach those. The MSc program gets course. All the first year mechanical programs get this, and then the robotics and automation students get 2 or 3 more courses as they go through. Automated gets another one in it, but we have 3 or 4. So there's a lot of work done in this lab for many of them. This is where the heart of automation is. PLCs from Allen Bradley and Siemens, 2 of the biggest manufacturers in the world. So these 16 stations that we have are probably the best you'll find outside the manufacturers. If you want better, you'll have to go to Rockwell for Allen Bradley or Siemens to find their labs. No other college does this. We've had salesmen from companies that sell PLC trainers come in, start setting up, and this is what I want to sell you. Let's look at this. Okay, let's show you around our lab first. We show them around their lab. They look at what we have. They pack up their suitcase and they say, yeah, we can't touch this. This is an amazing, each of these cells is worth between $80,000 and $100,000, and we have 16 of them sitting here. We can train you on motion control, touch panel control, safety PLCs, PLC communications, conveyor driving, tracking, sorting. All of these things are done in this lab. It's a phenomenal lab. It looks fairly simple, but there's a lot of electronics and a lot of programming in here. I didn't mention that robotics automation tends to be strong on the programming side. DNA tends to be strong on the math side. And then automated manufacturers somewhere in the middle. They dabble in both, but not as intently as ours. So the DNA and the RNA have really strong math and DNA, strong programming and RNA. Those are the strengths of those areas. But yeah, if you go to the college website, do some virtual tours, look at the robotics lab, look at the PLC lab, look at the materials lab. We give you a lot of information.
Thank you. And this is John's contact information. We're going to leave this up for a moment. What you could take note of is, first of all, his email to contact him. John is great if you are wondering at all anything actually about the mechanical cluster. You can connect with him. If you wanted to talk to him more about robotics, obviously he's very passionate about that. That would be a great person to connect with. Their YouTube link is here. We'll make sure we put that up as well when we post this onto our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, and you'll be able to check out all the awesome projects that the students are working on.
Yeah, and if you forget the link, you can always just go to YouTube and search for Conestoga Robotics Projects. And one of the selections that'll come up is a gold C. That's my channel. Just click on that and you'll find the cluster videos that I've put up for the projects. Remembering the students did everything. I sign the paperwork and make sure they don't hurt themselves, and that's all I really do. They do everything else. They start with an empty room. It's absolutely amazing. Sorry, I better shut up.
It is amazing. It is amazing. And I know you can go on, so we are going to move on to the next slide here. We want to thank you all for listening to what we have to say about the mechanical cluster. If you would like to hear more about the mechanical cluster in our School of Engineering and Technology, please connect with us.